Hi everyone, I'm the plant propagator and welcome to my channel. What I want to do today is show you some things in the laboratory, some orchids in various stages of germination and flasking, and I want to end up with deflasking. And what I have to share with you today is a combination of failures and successes. And failures just means that things don't always work the way at least I had hoped they would work. So I make crosses, and sometimes the crosses won't be very successful, or the plants that I'll get from the certain crosses won't be very vigorous, or something like this occurs. And what I want to do is share some of these with you. Not everything works great. And that's how it's always worked for me, and it certainly continues that way as I move into the orchid world. So what I have is I do a lot of hybridizations. I make a lot of seed capsules, and then I plate the seed capsules. And what I want to talk with you today about is about how long it takes to recover the seeds, and then sometimes those seeds may not be very useful, or there may be very low embryo counts in the seeds, or the seeds themselves they won't have any embryos in it. So there's a variety of things that I want to show you. What I want to start out with is to show you some of the some of the successes. So this is what you kind of expect. So this is a Phalaenopsis seed plating, and this plate is just loaded. There are thousands of seedlings in this. Finally, this is an old plate of Certipodium, and again, just thousands in here. And this is a small amount of the total number of seed that was in the seed capsule. All right, so what happens here, here's a situation, and I'm going to show you a plate and there's nothing in it. You're not going to be able to see it because it's cloudy, but there's nothing in it. So this was a Cattleya cross that I made, and it took it took 6 months for me to recover the seed from this, and no embryos in those seeds. I didn't see anything, and then and sometimes though it's difficult to see the embryos, but I didn't. These are big Cattleya embryos. What I should have seen was big Cattleya embryos, and I saw nothing. So this was a 6 month that I had to wait to get these seeds, and then I saw nothing. And this happens, so don't always expect it to be a green ocean when you do these platings. Okay, here's another one. This is a Brassavola nodosa cross, and this was a capsule that a colleague gave me. And it's a wide cross, so it was a really unusual cross, and he was excited, and the capsule got to the right point, and then it started turning yellow about the right time, so it was perfect. I plated only a third of the seed. I hope out the capsule it didn't look great, and I plated about a third of the seed. And so which means probably, I would guess, about 50 to 100,000 seed. And they didn't look good. I did a quick look under the dissecting microscope, and I didn't see really any embryos in the seed. And I thought, okay, it might be a situation where the embryos were small, I didn't see them, and I'm going to see them eventually. And it's now been a couple of weeks. And within the couple of weeks, I'm still not seeing anything. But I saw one embryo in one of the seeds when I was looking at this the other day. I tried to find it again today, and I couldn't. But it was clearly an embryo in a seed. And so this is what happens occasionally, is that you'll get a really low, very inefficient pollination. It may have been a stray pollen. It may not have been the specific cross that he was looking for. And there's one seed in there and one embryo in there, and the question is, I don't even know whether that one embryo is going to form a plantlet, whether we're going to see embryo swelling, protocorm formation, and then leaf formation at the end of that. But you know, sometimes it doesn't work very well. This is another one of mine. I'm sorry, and it's going to get a little bit better, but not much. This is another one of mine, and this is a Dendrobium cross. This is an interspecific cross with Dendrobiums. And there was a lot of seed. The seed capsule yellowed at about the right time, and then I plated the seed. And I looked in here, and I didn't see a whole lot. The seed didn't look great. But it's now been 3 weeks. So it's been 3 weeks, and I actually can see it with a naked eye, but the plate is kind of cloudy, so you can't see it. But there's about 20 protocorms forming on this plate from, like I said, a total of maybe 10,000 seeds in this plate. And I've got a few other plates, so I'll get enough plants, but there's really, really low numbers of embryos that are in here, but they're doing okay. Now, sometimes what you have is the embryos will form, they'll form protocorms, but then they'll continue to proliferate and it won't look very good. So, but at this point it's promising. And so what I don't know is, am I going to get something good out of here or something that's just going to grow really slowly and be troublesome? And I don't know, so we'll see. I mentioned to you previously that I kind of make up stuff as I go along, and I modify, and I do these types of things. So I don't know what I'm going to get out of this. I don't have the experience to know if I'm going to be getting any nice plants or an unusual thing out of it. But I got enough plants, so I got enough protocombs that are forming that I should be able to get something nice out of it. Okay, here's another plate. You can see a little bit on here. I'll try to remove the cloudiness a little bit. So this is an Oncidium Saturn, and this is a capsule that somebody else gave to me, and there are a lot of protocorms that are forming here, but it's been sitting for a long time. So this is still on a seed germination medium, and normally I only let this stay on this medium for 2 to 3 months, and this has been 5 months. So these are growing really, really slowly. And again, sometimes that's what you get. It's, it's an unusual orchid. It was given to me, and the number of embryos that are forming, the number of protocorms are forming that are small, and they're really slow. So normally there'll be leaves on here, and I'll be able to, within 3 months. And here, I'm starting to see leaf formation after 5 months. So we'll see what happens with this. I'm excited about this. Okay, here's another situation, Grammatophylum, that has huge capsules. And I thought the capsule was picked prematurely, which I think it was. But what I got out of it is I got 4 plants out of this Grammatophylum. But you couldn't see really any embryos within the seeds, and I thought it still might be, it might have resulted from just an immature capsule. But I do have plants, and they're growing nicely, and well, I should be able to get something out of them. All right, so that's kind of a range of things, and what I don't know is how the rare plants are going to be responsible. Are they going to be more interesting, more valuable, more useful, or are they just going to be dogs that aren't going to do anything? And time will tell. And with me, it's going to be a lot of types. It takes a long time to get these guys to get big and flower. But we move forward with this. What I want to do now is transition over to some results of some deflasking that I did, and that the members of my my orchid breeding club did. So I want to show you these because I'm excited. I have a new cross that I deflasked the other day, and I was concerned because my number of seedlings that I recovered was very low. So it's similar to what I showed you before. It took a little bit longer, so normally it takes 9 months for me to get orchids big enough with the Cattleyas to deflask. These took a year, and they're growing, I think, pretty vigorously, but I don't have too many of them. I have maybe a couple dozen of them, and I only deflasked the first dozen. But I want to show you those because I'm excited, because we'll be able to tell from these if these low numbers of plants that are coming from some of my crosses, if they're going to be useful. I'll be able to tell it on this one cross first. I also want to show you some other plants that I deflasked a short time ago, and then again, what I want to end up with is some deflasking that was done only 2 weeks ago. And the interesting thing about, and this is again done by my orchid breeding group, and the interesting thing about the deflasking that was done a couple of weeks ago is some of the orchids are hitting the top of their box. So, and I'll show you the box. I put orchids in small boxes or tall boxes, and some of them are growing so vigorously. When you deflask, they're growing so vigorously that they're already hitting the top of the box and kind of bending over. And I've heard from other people in my group that that's what they're doing. So yay, it was a good deflasking, and these things are just, they're growing really well. So with that, what I want to do is finish up, get behind the camera, and okay, and we're back. So this was, these are some of the orchids that my breeding group deflasked, and this is 2 weeks ago today. And all of these, they're not labeled well because they're all the same thing. So this is all, these are all Dendrobium mirabellianum. And this guy really likes these things apparently, because that's all he wanted to deflask and put in pots here. So this is one of his containers, and what he actually wanted to do is, he has a couple of containers. He wanted to take one home, and he wanted to leave one with me and see how they would do. And I need to talk with him about it. The thing that I noted about him, about what he did when he deflasked these plants, is he planted them a little bit too deep. I like planting them to have the you know, where the roots come out of the stem. I like having them right at the crown, right at the level of where the bark is, so right here. And the reason I like having it there is because you can see what's happening. You know, root growth and the induction of new roots is kind of an indication of orchid health. And what I like doing is seeing if there's any new roots coming out of here, and if they're at this level, you can see that, yeah, okay, this is right, and they're doing well. So with these, you can see, focusing on this one because there's some really nice root initials that are forming. And again, back there's more. Not all of them are doing this, but it's kind of a good general sign that there is some, you know, that these plants are doing well, and there's really good root growth going on there. The plants themselves look okay, and I think they're going to do just fine. I took the top of the container off here. Normally, this is 2 weeks, and normally I'll leave the top of the container on for 4 weeks and then gradually expose these plants to ambient humidity. But I needed to take it off so that I could show you what was inside. This is another container that contains a variety of different orchids, and I'm going to get up. If you can see here, these are Encyclia tampensis that were left over that she just cleaned off and threw down in the bottom of her box. I guess she wants to maybe tree mount them or something. She is a mounter, so maybe she wants to mount them in trees in her neighborhood. But what you can say, there's a bunch of different plants in here. So there's some, these are some cattleyas in that first row. There are some encyclias in the second row, and then there's certipodiums down here. There's dendrobiums there. There's interesting. So here's bledia purpurata that's there. There is, I think, some more dens. But what's impressive is in the last row, the epidendrum Schomburgkii. These are hitting the top of the container. Some of that certipodium is, let's see, that certipodium where the base is right in the middle. That certipodium is 2, but all those epidendrum Schomburgkii, they're just growing like crazy. So they're doing well, and it's a combination of her potting things up and the conditions and kind of knowing how to do this. So the plants look pretty good. It's a good sign that everything's going good, and she's actually getting these plants back today. So I wanted to put this in my video while I still have them in my possession, because in a few hours they'll be sitting on her back lanai. Okay, so that's it for this group, and these were done 2 weeks ago today, and I have some other ones that I want to show you that are more recently deflasked. So let's move forward to those. Okay, now these were only deflasked 2 days ago. So you're asking, what are you going to see in 2 days? And with this first group, you don't see a thing. So these are all, and I only have one flask, or I only have one pot labeled. So this is Pseudopodium punctatum. The ones that I showed you previously, there were obviously many plants in a single pot. When I do this, I just put one plant in a single pot because they do well, and I like to keep the individuals separated. We had so many of them for our group that the previous plants that I showed you, there were multiple plants put in each pot. Anyway, so these are Pseudopodium punctatum. You really can't see anything other than they're okay after a couple of days. These are different cattleyas right here, and I got to get the right angle so you can see what's going on. But these are a combination of some new crosses that I made and some cross that actually is a little bit older that I already have plants from. But what I want to show you in here, and again, 2 days ago, and you may not believe me on this, but what I want to show you, let's see if I can find it. Oh, I got to go up here. Okay, is these roots. So that root, and especially the last part of that root, that is new growth, even after just 2 days. So that is a really good sign. And then you've got the same thing going on in, let's see, so it's there, and I think we might have the same thing going on here. This is hard to do, sorry, here as well. And there's also another one, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show it to you, in the front here. There it is. All right, we're right at the end of that's new growth. And when you deflask, the roots don't look like that at the tip. That is something that you see that is an indicator of new growth on the plant. And it's not that whole root isn't new, it's just the last little, maybe 1/8 of an inch on that's new growth. But these guys were happy to come out, and they're doing well as a result of this. So I've got some of the new hybrid that I generated, and another hybrid, a little older hybrid that I know from experience is incredibly prolific. And the thing is, if you start with prolific plants to use in your crosses, and you select the plants when you're doing your flasking that are the most prolific, you're going to get plants that are going to be fast growing and prolific too. And that's what I like. That's what I really like to do, and that's why I don't know what I'm going to get with some of these other crosses where the seed numbers are a little bit lower and the plants don't seem to be growing as rapidly. All right, that's all I have for now. If you enjoyed my video and you want to keep on seeing them, it would help me out if you can click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. And that's all I have for today. Happy propagating.